So there are thought forms, and then you have thought forms that end up becoming living systems. I'm hearing into branching universes. And that's where we begin to understand what egregores are. Today, we're just going to touch on the surface for this because I see you creating an egregore. Now, if you don't know what that means, you do understand something. We're just going to understand it up here now so our mental plane can catch up with what the soul and you being a quantum being is actually going to see playing out in your reality, like this living atmosphere or field that you're going to be participating within. And really, it's a field that's being co-created, that's opening up a whole new timeline of experiences that you're going to be stepping into, like its own living ecosystem, where everything is playing in its role in the larger collective. I'll try and throw up an illustration right here so that you can see what an egregore is, but it's essentially this collective energetic field that's created through repeated thought, emotion, attention, as well as participation. And the more energy something receives, the more coherence and momentum it gains until it begins functioning like this living atmosphere. So it's a signal that's sent out, and then a network is created around that signal. And I see that happening within your physical experience right now. Anyway, a field ends up attracting matching frequencies into itself because of a signal that's sent out. Not only is it received, but that signal ends up creating a branching network. And many of you are creating one, whether that's consciously or unconsciously, that's going to be playing a major role into your life experience, whether that be, you know, energy that you're kind of pouring or investing into maybe a creative project. It could be a vision, it could be a dream, it could be an art form or relational dynamic or a business or some type of new identity, maybe even a community as well. Anyway, it begins generating this energetic grid around you, and then reality begins responding to that and reinforcing it. And your signal is starting to attract in resonance. And the resonance could be people from this ecosystem that end up in running into these world line collisions with you, right? Where you're at the same time and space, in the same space and time. And this is where we see our opportunities appear and the synchronicities begin to accelerate. Conversations, ideas, experiences begin clustering into the field that you've been pouring your energy into and reinforcing. This is where the alliances come in, the soul tribe come in. It's almost as if reality reorganizes itself around that coherence that you've been investing your energy into or feeding your energy into. For example, let's say someone begins authentically sharing their art or their truth online. At first, you may feel small and isolated, but over time, through consistency and this emotional investment, intention, and genuine connection, a field begins forming around your creation. And suddenly, the right people seem to appear. Collaborators arrive and communities begin to form, and opportunities emerge seemingly out of nowhere. Not because it was random, but because the egregore became coherent enough to start magnetizing resonance into itself. And that's the higher octave of egregores, not just unconscious consumption, but very conscious direction. And those connections begin to manifest, or let's say download into your third dimensional experience around you. This is like authentic connection, things like mutual empowerment that we'll begin to see because we are becoming empowered within the connection that we have to ourselves and the connection to the thing in which we're investing our emotional energy towards and our intentions and all of these things, right? So things that are going to be healing, things that are going to be extremely creative, and a shared vision that will take place, and sovereignty while inside of this participation. These fields literally inspire expansion within itself. So people will leave feeling more connected to themselves and not less, because it's a highly conducive ecosystem that's being created. And so everything that you repeatedly give your life force towards is building around you. That's how you can think about it. And that field is always communicating with reality, right? It's always informing reality. And so naturally, I see you as the magician, my love, right? If we look at the magician and the crow, the magician is quite literally this being who understands that reality is shaped through directed attention, intention, will, and energetic investment, right? So he has this thought, he has this emotion that creates this bioelectrical charge that then becomes almost like a node, if you want to think about it as like a nodal point, like a highly conducive nodal point. And then that ends up creating these little signals that are sent out, and they begin to connect to these other nodal points, almost like a communication hub within itself, and energy being exchanged, right? Anyway, he's able to take this invisible potential, or you're able to, as this archetype, as this octave existing within you, take this invisible potential and this concentrated life force and actually give it structure in the material plane. So that's something that you're able to do, okay? And you can see him, he's growing things in the realm of the night, he's merging the conscious and the unconscious parts of himself. And this is exactly how an egregor begins, through the magician's mind. It's something that he's able to manifest because he generates a field around him. So I want you to really focus on what that is, because then you won't be confused around what it is that you're summoning into your life experience, right? If you understand what field you're generating from around you, you can actually tune into the egregor system that you're creating or that you're participating in. And we'll do a whole teaching on this. We won't touch on it today just because this is the energy that I'm being called to focus on now. But there can be parasitic egregors as well, like collective belief systems, things of this nature that can become, again, parasitic or draining. But this is a highly conducive one that you have in your field. And he's constantly feeding this signal until it gains this coherence enough to reorganize reality around him. So if you notice the symbolism with most of the magician, he has one hand in the air and he has one hand down facing the material plane, and he represents this conduit, right? He has this battery pack and he understands what his charge is. So the magician acts as a conduit between the unseen and also the seen, right? He understands this seed in which he is and the things in which he's seeding and nurturing in this experience. And so it's an invisible energetic architecture in the reality that you're participating in, and it becomes increasingly tangible in the physical realm through this repetition, this focus, this mental and emotional participation and physical participation, and the belief in the thing that you're actually investing your life force into. The belief that the magician is an individual learning to consciously co-create with the world, with the physical and the material plane, and the energetic fields that surround him. Now, I see you as, I'm hearing a magician's world. So you are the world inviting the magician into it to step into this realm of play and creation, and also being the world experiencing not just life on earth through the lens of the magician, but the world experiencing the magician create within its realm, within its own world. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, there's something around the architecture. So if we talk about the world, this deck also talks about life on earth. And this is something that you've been able to extract yourself from when we talk about parasitic systems. This is emotional extraction from timelines or thought forms that are just not going to be super conducive. Every egregor is birthed from a thought form within itself. So really being mindful of where your thoughts are, what your emotional state is, because that is going to define the field that generates around you, and also what that field expands and branches and connects to. So it's no longer this inversion of this engineered attention, and instead you're pulling that energy back into yourself. I'm hearing pouring that energy back into yourself, which is why discernment also becomes like a really important theme as we navigate these collective fields as well, and understand which ones we're merging with, which ones we're investing our life force into, understanding which one's actually going to be conducive for our own explorative journey in this playground, and which ones kind of distort the way that we see ourselves in our own play of creation. So this is you mastering, I'm hearing, two worlds at once, the collective realms and then the ecosystems in which you're merging with. Does this make sense? Kind of, I don't know if this makes sense, but it's an analogy of, you know how certain countries ban, well, really when you fly in a lot of places, there's things that have to go through goods that you have to declare, and there's certain regulations and rules, and I'm seeing this as energetic hygiene, where, okay, we're not allowed to bring certain species or certain, things like, there's certain things that you're just not allowed to bring over into the other side, it could cause an outbreak, it could cause a virus, it could cause something that ends up becoming overrides the system, or it just messes up the ecosystem that has been crafted or culminated and finely tuned. And I'm seeing this as the way that you finely tune your world. And when you engage with the realm around you, making sure that you have that energetic hygiene for, just to restore harmonic order. It's what you would rather feed into the system. It's what you would rather control when it comes to your perception, and that's the free will that you have. All right, that's the message that's coming through. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get an advice card for this. Tell me about the advice. The advice is the density and the cosmos. So density are things that have weighed us down previously. Density can weigh down the physical body in more ways than just the literal sense of weight. Different bodies can carry different loads and emotional, family, relationships, and mental. It can be difficult to cope with density as the weight presses down. The affirmation is, I drop my burdens. The burdens are often those belief systems of understanding, okay, you are infinite potential streamlines from you. The belief system are going to obstruct the flow of life force flowing through you to the point where your life force ends up becoming extremely scattered in the system and what it is you want to direct it towards. Because your life force is unconsciously dwelling in the realms or connecting with egregor systems or thought forms that are not conducive. It's okay, well, how am I going to be perceived, or how will my creations be perceived or received? And that is it's a scattered, right? Your consciousness and your life force is scattered and suspended within these timelines that are just not going to be serving you. It's allowing all of you to be here in the present moment so that you can be fully present and be while you're doing something, right? And the seed that will germinate and emerge is not going to be what the seed is. It's who you were at the time that you planted it. So I'm seeing it as, what is your field at your point of creation? Is all of you here and anchored into the system as you invest towards something, or is it invested towards the lack of something, right? Are you in resonance with what it is that you desire? And again, elevating your frequency to that, instead of vibrating in the absence or the lack of it. How present are you, and what is your state of being? Are you deeply connected to yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you remember yourself as the abundant being that you are? Or is your subconscious scattered in all these other systems and egregor systems? So that's what your advice is. Understand who you are at the time that you plant the seed. And that will allow you to become more free, unfettered, with more room and lightness. The in situation recommendation is to relax and become more aware. By dropping the weight, you can make the journey easier by allowing yourself to stop, breathe, and make space, and then continue on. All right, that's your advice for the egregor systems that you're navigating within your own internal complex. Remember the cosmos and what appears to be chaotic, and the secret order to what appears to be disorderly. With that being said, my love, I just want this to be a quicker and shorter and sweet one today. So I'm going to love and leave right there. If you're already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing, because we'd love to have you around. Past reading details also down below. Also check out Water Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. One of the proceeds are donated towards otter sanctuaries. And I'll speak to you very, very soon. Until next time, bye.
Clouds in the sky, don't care if I stay all day. Dreaming of time when you and I were dancing